How are your grocery prices doing lately? I've been talking to a lot of voters recently, including some right wing voters, and they're all talking to me about I go to the grocery store, I spend $110, and it feels like I get nothing. Now, remember that Donald Trump promised to bring grocery prices down right away. He made endless promises of just your corn will be so afraid of me that when I win, it'll automatically go down in price and related promises. And what we actually have, if we look at prices, is Americans confronting the largest grocery price spike in half a century, with the right wing New York Post warning that there is no relief in sight. Even the New York Post is reporting it. And this is part of a bigger story I've been covering, which is that Fox News and the New York Post, both publications, media outlets owned by Rupert Murdoch's News Corporation, are preparing for a situation in which even Republican voters are no longer aligned with the MAGA wing of the Republican Party. Food prices are up 33% over the last 7 years. Not all of that includes time that Donald Trump is president. Ground beef reached almost $7 a pound in June. That's 79% higher than in 2019. Food prices projected to rise another 3.1% this year, another 3.1% next year. Now, I always say, hold elected officials accountable to their promises. Trump said grocery prices would come down, while also saying the entire concept of grocery affordability is a scam. But he said the prices would come down, and instead they're going to go up. Now, the reporting is not from MS Now or MSNBC or CNN or some left wing group trying to change or damage Trump politically. It's the New York Post, a reliably pro Trump newspaper, admitting that grocery prices have effectively reset at a permanently higher level and are going to keep going up. Now, you all, I don't know how other shows out there are doing it. I try to just be very transparent with you on these economic numbers. Trump didn't cause the entire 33% increase over the last 7 years. Some of it was during the pandemic. Some of it was during the Biden administration. COVID disrupted supply chains. Russia's invasion of Ukraine affected grain markets, and cattle herds are smaller. That does relate to the Trump administration, but then you've got labor and transportation costs that have gone up. But Trump ran on saying, I will fix it and I will fix it quickly. We're going to get the prices down, groceries, cars, energy, everything. And he repeated it and promised that on day one, these prices were going to start to come down. And he attacked Kamala Harris for not immediately owning food costs and telling voters that she would get them down. She was being a little more realistic about what presidents can and can't do. And then once the election ended, suddenly Trump discovers that this was a promise he made over and over again, but it's kind of difficult to actually make good on it. And he even said weeks into his second term, it's hard to bring things down once they've gone up. It's very hard, which is true. And it's interesting how that works. Before the election, Trump is the only person that can fix it. Everything will come down. Drill, baby, drill, eggs, bacon, ground beef. They're going to be giving themselves away. And after the election, oh, prices are complicated. The economy is a difficult thing because there's so many factors that affect it, which is true. I would just rather get that up front. And to this end, I spoke about this on the Gavin Newsom podcast last week. I believe Barack Obama did a better job in 2012 of saying, we've made progress, but we have more work to do. And that's why you should vote for me, both because I've made progress, but because I recognize that we have to do more. The Biden Harris approach and the Trump approach of it's all great, it's all fantastic, not exactly the same way. They didn't do it the same way, but the idea of telling people things are good is not convincing to a lot of voters. And I think that that's an example of something Barack Obama did right. Trump now has also made the problem much worse with tariffs, of course, which increase the cost of importing food and packaging, fertilizer, machinery, all of these different inputs. And the Post even acknowledges that tariff pressure and higher transportation and energy costs mean that it's extremely unlikely that these grocery prices are going to come down. So Americans are fundamentally changing how they shop. They're switching to store brands. They are visiting multiple retailers to compare prices, depending on how far apart the retailers are and what gas costs. I don't know whether you really save by doing that. It sort of depends on the situation. And cutting a lot of items except when they are on sale. And you even have reporting that higher income families are paying much closer attention to grocery costs. So this is exactly why the political consequences in this upcoming midterm could be absolutely massive, because there was a wave of anger over inflation, which Trump said, I am your populist who will fight back against this. And it's Biden's fault that eggs cost more and grocery receipts are more painful to look at. And there was no nuance in it. And he said, once I turn this around, you're going to give me credit for it. And it was a failure. So if he would have gotten credit, he's got to get the blame as well. The grocery bill is one of the cleanest measures of whether people believe the economy is working or not for them. And it is something that is going to have repercussions in November. Trump made it a litmus test of his presidency. By that very same test, he is failing. Now, a better approach would be we have a situation here where prices rarely reverse unless we have a significant economic downturn. We don't really see deflation in the United States unless we have a downturn. So what makes more sense to do is to slow down the rate of inflation and get wage growth up so that over time your purchasing power goes up. Now, it is much more difficult to explain. It's easier to say I'll get prices down. It's also very difficult, but I'll get prices down is much clearer than prices rarely come down. So instead of a deflationary spiral, we'll slow down the price growth and then get up wage growth. That it's a tougher sell politically. And it's also very unlike Trump because I don't think he really understands marginally more complex thinking. So it's in a sense a problem of his own making, and also a problem in terms of the sort of communication that the average MAGA has come to expect from Trump. But he made the promises. Let's hold him to the promises and vote that way in November. Thanks for watching. Check out this other video. And if you like our content, make sure to subscribe so YouTube puts our videos in your feed, and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple.